Hi everybody, and welcome to the Starseed Dragon channel. This is a tarot review for the Mary L. Tarot 2nd edition by Marie White. And let's get started. This is in this new and revised 2nd edition of The Powerful Alchemy of the Soul. It's got 78 cards, including 4 new and enchanting paintings and updated guidebook, Landscapes of the Abyss, with fresh keyword symbolism and traditional oil paintings in the classic style. Okay, 78 tarot cards and guidebook, working with the alchemy of the soul. 4 new oil paintings with updated guidebook, suitable for all levels of tarot experience. So let's get started in this. It's a nice guide, a nice box here. It's got the magnetized, you know I love these, right? So let's check it out. Let's see what we've got going on here. Let's see. Wow. Okay, so how many pages do we have here? 192 pages. So, as we've been doing, I'm only going to read the descriptions for the major arcana, and then we'll flip through the cards for the minor arcana. There are no extra cards. Okay. So here are the cards. Let's measure them before I take the wrapper off of them. 4.5 inches or 11.5 centimeters by just under 3 inches or 7 centimeters. So let me just, oh, they're gilded in silver. Got silver gilding. Open. If these cards end up singing to you and you would like to purchase them, I do have an affiliate link in the description box below. We've already measured them, so let's get a closer look at these. Let's see, they're quite flexible, they're light. This is the back of them. And let's take a look at the definitions of the major arcana. Let me flip through the book here. Okay. The Fool. Where you stumble, there lies your treasure. Joseph Campbell. In the fool's bag is his self. At first he travels lightly, steps lightly, carries his package lightly. By the end he thunders when he walks. The earth shudders and quakes. But for all his might and weight, the fool remains deep inside in a little bag, beating. The fool is a living caduceus, a living tree of life, the beginning and the end, a double helix of DNA. The kundalini winding up the spine, a chariot of the sun, soul of man. The image itself is a universal key with all the elements of creation. The descent of spirit into flesh and the ascent of flesh back to spirit, and most importantly, the coexistence of all at the same time in an undiluting, scintillating, living, moving metaphor of the universe. This is the Ein Sof, endless wisdom, limitless nothing, fearlessly jumping off a cliff and into the abyss where this radiating sun will transform into a beautiful terrestrial creature with free will. In the beginning, the Fool is unencumbered, free and limitless. Then he is zero, the beginning. If you count all the cards in the major arcana, the Fool is the 22nd. If you then count all the cards in the entire deck, the Fool is the 78th. While the Fool can go anywhere, he naturally falls into four numbers, nothing, Ein Sof, 0, 22, and 78. Together they make 100, and reduced it makes 1. The goal of every soul to become a complete individual performing his purpose in life. The dragons are the twin serpents. They held by the Sumerian god Enki. They were the living rivers that Enki poured forth from his pitchers, the Tigris and Euphrates, which flowed around the first civilizations of Mesopotamia. In the sky, he was the constellation Aquarius, the water bearer, and into whose aeon we are presently moving. His symbol was the caduceus. The butterflies are symbols of transformation, the soul, and the monarchs in particular are symbols of the migrating soul, since they are the only butterfly that makes a yearly migration, often taking more than one generation to reach their destination. When the Fool jumps, stumbles, is pushed, or falls, he is taking the first step on a very long journey, and what begins in folly might end up being the most profound journey of all. It is possible that when the Fool jumps, the abyss appears. The Fool jumping off the mountain of the gods himself is a herald of the unfolding creation of the universe. The Magician. Just as the Fool is nothing, the Magician is everything. It contains everything, and everything flows from it. The Magician stands between the primordial mother hidden beneath the surface of the water and the primordial father with his son and infinite lemon skates. The two trees are a doorway between the spiritual and corporeal world. And the Magician cloaked in earth is handing you a Metatron's cube or a phoenix's egg. Cube is Arabic for ka, square, ba, house. But to the Egyptians, the ka was the life force and the ba was the soul. The Magician is handing you your life and soul. Metatron is an archangel mentioned in several ancient apocryphal mystical texts. No one knows exactly where he comes from or what his name means, and is unusual in that it does not end with the suffix "l", which is what binds other angels to the will of God. He is notably in the book of Enoch, an ancient mystical Kabbalah, Merkabah, Hekalat text. Enoch was a scribe taken up by God through ascension rather than death. After experiencing all of the incredible visions and workings of heaven and hell, past, present, and future, he was himself transformed into the angel Metatron, and then replaced Michael as the prince of the angels. Metatron is an ascended man, and like Thoth and Hermes, he was a scribe of the gods and represented the Logos, or Word of God. Another name for him is the Lesser YHVH. I don't know how to pronounce that. A careful reference to duality that may explain his exclusion from canon. The name Enoch means enlightened. In mystical etymology, Metatron could mean meta beyond, and tron throne, beyond the throne. This could refer to this place behind the throne of God. It could also refer to being beyond the throne of God or beyond the physical body, i.e. ascended, enlightened. This story speaks directly to the potential of humankind and individual men. We don't need to die to experience heaven and hell or the face of God. It is relevant that Enoch was a scribe. If you wish to know what your purpose in life is, look at your God-given gifts. Look at what your God-given gifts are. What are you really good at? They are the greatest clue. As a species, our strengths are our brains, intelligence, and conscious ability to transcend our instinctive nature, and our biggest evolutionary leap was the development of a rich language orally and then in writing. We are collectively the scribe of gods. We record everything that happens and thus build an ever-growing library of knowledge that what we share collectively. Because the microcosm and the macrocosm are the same, as soon as something exists or is created in one, it exists in the other. When something is created in Malkuth, it exists as well in Kether, and Kether has no bondage to space and time. So what exists there is eternal. When you are conceived, you also exist eternally in your full potential. The magician is the specter of your full potential, all-wise, all-knowing, eternal, and you. Even as you are born and are pure innocence, there is a full fate and potential aspect of yourself represented as this Metatron's cube. Beautiful. Oops. Stuck. Okay. Let me just make sure that's still in the shot here. There we go. The High Priestess. I am all that has been and is and shall be, and my robe no mortal has yet uncovered. Bazu, Temple of the Abyss, Agora, Temple of the Subterranean Waters. She is the Hymen Priestess, guardian of the gate of life and death. with a veil of flesh. She parts her parchment scroll or columnar legs to reveal the wisdom within. If you pull aside her veil, there may be several drops of blood, like crimson pomegranate seeds, to show that you passed the way. The high priestess is the counterpart of the magician. He is the masculine energy, yang, and she is the feminine void, yin. He is day, she is night. He is radiation, brilliance, and illumination. She is darkness and secrets. He is without, she is within. Together, they are spiritual mother and father, and the heavenly king and queen. In the Bible Genesis story, Eve was not the first woman to be made. It was actually Lilith. The name Lilith comes from Lilitu, the Sumerian storm demons. Lil means night, moon, or wind. The story goes that Lilith refused to lie below Adam, become subservient to him, as you would expect of the heavens in regard to the earth, and left the Garden of Eden, where she gave birth to demons, killed infants, and tempted men. She is the serpent in the Garden of Eden. She is knowledge, temptation, darkness. She is the dark mother and dark goddess, chaos, destruction, death. Comparing her to the empress is like comparing the fool to the magician. The fool is nothing, zero, and the magician is everything, one. Likewise, the high priestess is the feminine nothing in the non form of chaos, space, emptiness, void, vacuum, etc. The womb wherein fertility can take place, the empty space where God is not. While the empress is everything, life, bounty, abundance, the filled and overflowing womb of Mother Earth. The Egyptian creator god Atum, which means to complete or finish, once stood upon the Benben, a black pyramid in the primordial waters, and masturbated himself with his hand, who is known as the goddess Iuset, she who comes and grows, and took the semen into his mouth. He spat the semen out into the darkness, creating Shu, the god of air or dryness, and Tefnut, the goddess of moisture. I had union with my hand, and I embraced my shadow in a love embrace. I poured seed into my own mouth and sent forth from myself issue in the form of the gods Shu and Tefnut. Atum is often depicted with his penis in his mouth. Symbolically, this is the Ouroboros, the serpent of infinity with his tail in his mouth, constantly creating and destroying himself. Atum, making a circle of himself, also made a space in the center of the sphere, which could act as a womb for creation, much like the Sephiroth in the Tree of Life. Hand is the name of the 10th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, the Shekinah, or Bride of God. In tarot, 10 is the card, the Wheel of Fortune. Emphasis on the wheel, which has this same never-ending form and produces creation from its center. The Ben pyramid is also the Bennu bird or phoenix, who rises from the ashes anew, and who is depicted on the card number 20, Judgment, and completes a great circle found in tarot. As the magician is the light and brilliant aspect of the primordial universe, and the high priestess is the dark and internal aspect, they together make the prototypes of the black and white towers that will be ubiquitous in the Mariel Tarot. They are the very essence of duality. When we get down into the depths of our psychology, you will find many fears and repulsions. Fear of darkness is one that will appear over and over. It is a very natural and good fear. Children fear the dark, and it keeps them from wandering into harm while their parents sleep. Adults fear the dark, and it keeps us from situations where we are vulnerable. It colors all the symbols relating to the night, the moon, the dark, owls, bats, etc. And because of our natural circadian rhythms, our state of mind is different at night. Our consciousness shifts closer to a dream state, and consequently, the door is open to fantastic events and experiences. We have a darkness within us, places that we can't easily see. It is our subconscious and our unconscious, places that are illuminated by the sun. If consciousness was an ocean, waking consciousness would be a small island on the surface. Subconscious would be all of that below, and there is no end to it. It is a bottomless abyss. This is the abode of the high priestess. And being dark, it is fearful to some people. Tarot, which uses symbols from this place, can also bring up a sensation of fear or trepidation in some people. Reflecting that fear, this place has been called the pit and hell, but it is also the subconscious, the ocean, and the roots of the world tree. The high priestess is a kraken, a sea monster, with her collective head in the abysmal ocean and her tentacles extending beyond. Life is inherited. You had to come from your mother and father, and they both contributed DNA and life force. Each of those things inherited its life force in an unbroken chain that goes back to the beginning of life, male and female together, energy and body from each, and we become, in all of our life and experiences, the steward of this life force and ancestral memory. These lifelines are the tentacles of the kraken-like dark rivers flowing through time, all connected. The symbols for this life that the high priestess contains is the flame with the Hebrew letters for the word Torah. The archetype of the high priestess is expressed in the earthly four elements in the 4 twos. The 2 of wands is the door, the birth canal. The 2 of swords is separation, solve, or war. The 2 of cups is union, coagula, or love. The 2 of discs is the veil of flesh that not only guards the doorway, but separates all individual things. The Empress. If you judge people, you have no time to love them. Mother Teresa of Calcutta. Interesting. This is really a different kind of deck. Let's see. There are 2 mother archetypes in the first few major arcana. The High Priestess, who is cold and remote, the empty void or ocean, and then there is the Empress, who is warm, nurturing, and overflowing with diversity and abundance. The 3rd letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Gimel, which means camel, and it is like a camel going across the desert that the Empress carries her child first in her body and then out into the world through birth. The Empress isn't just the mother to a single child. She is a symbol of the mother of everything, the abundance and fertility of creation, and she carries all things across the void of creation and into the world of manifestation. She takes the child and carries it in her body, covering it with her flesh, and takes it across the threshold from spirit to matter. She carries it out of the dark forest and into the bright sun. The Hebrew translation of Eve is Hava, which means to live. It is 3/4 of the tetragrammaton, YHVH. I don't know how to pronounce that. If you know how to pronounce that, and can give a phonetic pronunciation in the comments, that would be very appreciated. If you arrange the 4 letters around a circle, the 3 on the left would be HVH, and the 3 on the right would be HYH, or Heya, or Latinized to I. Heya means to exist. It is part of the name God identifies himself with to Moses. Ea, Asher, Ea, which is translated as I am that I am. The 2 and 3, HP and Empress, are 2 aspects of the Mother Goddess, one dark and remote, one creative and loving. If you equate these 2 mothers strictly to the tree of life, you will see that they top the 2 contrasting pillars of mercy and severity. These 2 women goddesses, along with the magician and perhaps the fool as Ein Sof, which is not counted, form the supernatural triad on the tree of life. Interesting. The Emperor. The Emperor takes the diversity and abundance of life from the Empress, and he organizes it and puts it in order, imposes law on it. He is number 4, and as such, he is extremely stable and is the embodiment of the idea of earth. He is the earthly father archetype and king of kings, ruler of the 4 quarters of the earth. The 4 pillars that hold up the heavens, the 4 sides of the pyramid, stable and square. He imposes order and harmony on the elements. He is the manifestation of spirit into earth. Like King Arthur or the Fisher King of legend, he is the land. He and the kingdom are one, as if his own body were divided up into mountains and plains, oceans and deserts. The fate of the land is his fate. All 4 of the elements are represented in this card. The dragonfly and red clothes are for fire. The pentagram on his hand and Malkuth colored ring for earth. The blue stone in the hilt of the sword for water, and the sword, which is really a phallus, channeling it up into the air with the clouds and lightning and birds. The 4th letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Daleth, which means door. In the older Proto-Canaanite alphabet, Daleth is called Dig and meant fish like the ones described in this sword. The fourth Sephiroth is chesed, which means love and kindness. It is the first Sephiroth beneath the abyss. I love the idea of love and kindness being the reason Earth exists, or that we all exist. That life in this world of fierce duality is where we go to experience love and grow our souls. Okay. Well, these are stuck together. Because they're gilded, obviously. Let's see if I can. Maybe that will help. Okay. Now let me make sure that this is there we go. All right. The Hierophant. To serious musing and to self-reproach. This is not the last card in which Babylon will appear. She is the gateway to the powerful truths that lie inside us and are completely blasphemous to any who believe you need something external for redemption, salvation, happiness, and immortal soul and life after death. She is a monster to those who fear their own power. She is a devil to those who fear the vision of their true self or the uninitiated. Babylon means gate of the gods. Hierophant means revealer of the sacred. Mystery means sacred rite or doctrine, from GK, which I'm going to assume is Greek. Mysterio from GK Mystis, one who has been initiated. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. The two snakes becoming winged serpents are harlots and abominations of the earth. The key to this card is the key that lies over her heart at the heart of the composition. When turned, the key unlocks the gateway to the gods, which is a gateway into ourselves. The temple of our bodies, a well, a tomb, the subconscious, where the grotesque becomes the sublime, and we will put away childish things, illusions, and ideas. We will experience the limits of ourselves through crisis and challenge. Okay. Next card. I'm going to lighten up on reading these descriptions because they're really, really pages. The Lovers. The Lovers card is about wedding opposites. Men and women, energies, ideas, parts of the self. On the Kabbalistic tree of life, the sixth Sephiroth, Temperance, is the very center of the tree, and it means peace, beauty, and harmony, and is usually thought of as the sun. It is so bright and warming. Everything is connected to the center structure, and it radiates its energy out to all the other Sephiroth. It is sometimes cautioned that from the lower Sephiroth, which is where our consciousness usually lies, this can appear to be God, and one shouldn't be mistaken. I would say that each Sephiroth is God, and the whole of the tree of life, and thus the whole universe, is God's body, including all of us and everything else that exists. Temperance as love, harmony, perfection, beauty, is the attractive force in the universe. This Empedocles so long ago envisioned, besides the four elements, that there were two main forces that acted upon them: love and hate, to love and draw together, and to hate to be repulsed, separated. Love is coagula where hate is solve, to separate, repel, and take apart. Love is the center, and love is divine, and love is the glue that holds everything together. Gorgeous. The chariots. The chariot is very central to the understanding of the tarot. It is a glyph, a map of the soul of God of the universe. Sevens have always been a magical, shamanistically profound number. It is the number of wandering planets visible to the naked eye. That is, the objectives in the sky that move along the great serpentine ecliptic rather than turn in a stationary disk of the stars. The Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Justice. Work, earn, know thyself, create thy reality, become thy greatest potential. Ground wishes with action. Be the crux of the real and the sublime. Weigh your heart. Ma'at means truth, and truth is what imposed order, law, justice, morality, and balance upon primordial chaos. Within her chamber, the hall of two truths, Ma'at weighed the heart of the dead. If it was light like her feather, like truth, the heart, seat of the soul, would go on to live in eternity with Osiris. If it was heavy, it would be fed to the hungry monster, Amut the Devourer. These are pages and pages. I'm just not going to read all of it, just for time's sake, because, I want to make sure that everyone sees the entire deck and is not bored. So here we go. The Hermit. Innocence and experience. What lies beneath the corporeal robes of the hermit. Man, beast, angel, animal. All of the above, perhaps. Baphomet, perhaps. The 9th letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Teth, which means serpent. To the Greeks, it was theta, drawn as a line or a point within a circle. To the Phoenicians, it meant wheel and was a cross or X within a circle. To the Egyptians, a point within a circle was a symbol for the sun, and an X within a circle was the symbol for the human soul, the agathos daimon, good spirit, or genius, as the Romans would say, and also the Aeneid, a group of 9 gods worshipped in Heliopolis, Atum, Shu, Tefnut, Geb, Nut, Osiris, Isis, Set, and Nephthys. Like the sun, the enlightened soul shines outward. banishing the darkness as wisdom banishes ignorance. His robes are flesh pulled tightly about him, but it still can't contain it all. Is there anything more beautiful and luminous than a person living 100% of who they are? Beautiful. The Wheel of Fortune, Divine Chaos. The Wheel of Fortune is the ever-changing nature of life and perfection and struggle. Could there be a more simple human or profound symbol than the wheel? A circle with a cross centering one in the middle of the four cardinal directions, or the four aspects of the self. A mandala turning around the edge, displaying the evolution of life and time. It describes the most fundamental state of things, from the microcosmic atom to the macrocosmic galaxies, to the inner space of our souls locked within the flesh of our bodies. Strength. The woman in the Strength card is crafting her own soul, the lion, into gold. She is using her own hands to create her destiny. The difference between 11 and 1 is that 1 is innocent and 11 is experienced. 1 is not just born into the world, but has had a hand in creating the reality of this life through choices and actions within the matrix of the earthly chaos. Strength is found in doing the work of one's soul, of wielding the great power of one's soul, of doing what is right, and what is right is knowledge that can only come from one's self. What is right, only you can know. Accepting responsibility is easier if you always do what's right. In that way, you will be caressing the dangerous mouth of the lion. Knowing what is right comes from knowing one's own soul and trusting in the greatness of it. The Hanged Man. Hang in the balance and submit to your destiny. The 12th letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Lamed, the King of Kings, so called because it lies in the center of the alphabet, is the tallest of the letters, and is composed of a Vav and Kaf, equaling 26, the same sum as YHVH, that I can't pronounce. When added to the letter before and after, Kaf and Mem spells Melech, king. Lamed is the King of Kings. It is the ox goad, the authoritarian tool of the shepherd, which drives the ox, Aleph, the breath of life. It is action and motivation in the manifest world. Aleph and Lamed spell El, the ancient name of God. Interesting. It is a beautiful card. Death. What would you die for? The Death card is Tarot's Memento Mori, here to remind you that you are mortal, to live a good life and live it to the fullest, for one day you too will die. This card shows Morta the crone, the cutter of the thread of life, giving your soul liberation. The threads of life are her radiating hair. The flower is a traditional memento mori, symbol as flowers only bloom for a short time before their petals fall back to the dirt. Mantis is a Greek word for prophet, as Morta knows your hour of death. The 13th letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Mem, which means water. Isn't that appropriate? Temperance. The tiger in the water is the king and queen married in the tomb of death. Time and eternity, creation and destruction. The tiger is the inundation bringing fertility back to wasted land. The Holy Grail healing the wounded king. The tiger is the great energy and life force, the elixir of immortality, exploding, erupting, orgasming into the water and matter of connectedness. The phallus of Osiris, eaten by the fish, Nun. The testicles of Kronos, cast into the ocean, eternity in time. The eternal soul within the body, shackled in time. The devil. The devil is lies, illusions, bondage, addiction, opposition, and personal demons. Also, it is humor in the face of opposition, an opportunity to do what is right, facing and defeating one's demons. To the grand Taoist Atelier, the devil represented great force propelling you toward a fate that could be for either good or ill. The tower. The tower and the lightning are lovers. The liberation of divine light through the phallus that is the tower, for the purpose of both creation or destruction, which are one and the same. The tower is the ultimate phallic symbol, a penis or lingam representing the male principle in the universe and the creative force penetrating from the world into another. People and yachts fall from the tower like semen, ablaze with creative fire and energy, while the devil binds, the tower liberates. The devil was the building of power, and the tower is the release. It is like the strike, the crack of the whip. Okay? The star, a messenger of hope. Throughout life, we build this idea of self. From the time we are the smallest babies, we learn and build stone by stone our ego, our protection, our house, our self. The nature of the creation and destruction cycle, or if you can imagine the Taoist yin and yang symbol, lemniscate infinity symbol, is that creation follows destruction, destruction follows creation, and as one is born, another is always forming within. When you are born, you are already forming a black spot of death inside you that will grow and one day consume you as you become death, as you deconstruct what you are. The moon. The moon is a hunter on the edge of a cliff, shooting gray, fiery arrows at the sun. The moon is the feminine aspect of the Trinity. She is yin, soft, passive, and internal, dark, mysterious, the doorway into the subconscious world of dreams, intuition, and emotion. She looks within while the sun looks without. The sun. The sun is the end of the line. The fool in the beginning walked off his cliff without a care and tucked his beautiful self into a little travel path, and off he went to experience life in the world of life and death, love and suffering. From there he was loved, cuddled, tortured, rended, blinded, witness to the all of the beauty and suffering in the world, challenged, pushed, transformed. His divine self was slowly walled inside a fortress of stone. After he dragged himself out of the pits of despair and ruin in the underworld, he climbed this tower, slowly then furious and possessed. At the top he reached the sun and realized he was the sun all along. Whoa. Judgment. Beneath the tree of knowledge of life and death in the garden of paradise, the first rose bush grew, and from the first rose a bird was born, his plumage exultant, his song enchanting, and his flight powerful. When Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and also became of the world of life and death, a spark fell from the cherub's sword onto the nest and set it on fire, consuming the beautiful bird's ephemeral body with flame until he was ash. When the embers and bits of bone that were the corpse of the bird cooled, life began to congeal again within the aromatic sepulchre, and an apple appeared. Inside was a handsome worm who, in the shade, grew into the likeness of an eagle chick, then a fledgling, and finally into the noble visage of an adult eagle. Then he was adorned with fiery feathers of crimson and violet, just as he was at the beginning, and brought radiantly to fulfillment. The flesh of the phoenix is born again, wholly renewed, free of sin, his own beloved son, and his own dear father. Beautiful. I really enjoy that. The world. The world is the landscape of the abyss in which the fool traverses. Together they are God and Goddess, heaven and earth, womb and ray of light. She is the sky, he is the sun. There are many opposites and contrasts, and none are exactly equal. In many myths, at the end of a person's life, or at the end of the world, the person is weighed or judged, and the good people go to heaven, and the bad people go to hell. Or you go to heaven, or you go to hell, depending on such things as the weight of your heart, if you are happy, if you did good deeds, if you treated the least of people well, if you were charitable. Interesting. So now we will that is the end of the major arcana, and we're going to go through each of the cards. We're going to start with the suit of wands, ace of wands. Oh, well, here we go, ace of swords. I guess we're going to go through the aces. Ace of cups. Yeah, that's how it is in the book. And then the twos and so on, okay? Ace of cups, ace of discs, Two of Wands, unstick, Two of Swords, Two of Cups, that's pretty, Two of Discs, Three of Wands, Three of Swords, Three of Cups, Three of Discs, Four of Wands, Four of Swords, Four of Cups, Four of Discs, Five of Wands, Five of Swords, Five of Cups, Five of Discs, Six of Wands, Six of Swords, Six of Cups, Six of Discs. Let me make sure you're still in the picture there. There we go. Seven of Wands, that's pretty. Seven of Swords, Seven of Cups, Seven of Discs, Eight of Wands, Eight of Swords, Eight of Cups. I keep moving it, I'm sorry. Eight of Discs. Nine of Wands. Wounded Warrior. Nine of Swords. Nine of Cups. Wish fulfillment. Oh, that's an appropriate card. Nine of Deaths. Nine of Pentacles is pre-Empress energy. Ten of Wands. That kills me. Ten of Swords. Ten of Cups. Ten of Discs. Make sure you're still in the... There we go. Page of Wands. Page of Swords. Page of Cups. Page of Discs. Knight of Wands. Knight of Swords. Knight of Cups. Knight of Discs. Queen of Wands. Queen of Swords. Queen of Cups. Queen of Discs. King of Wands. King of Swords. King of Cups. And King of Discs. And there we have it. Let me just zoom out. Okay, that's the deck. I hope that you enjoyed it. It is a rather lengthy book that is very detailed. And, you know, it does give upright descriptions, reversed descriptions. It's got nice gilding now that I've unstuck everything. And nicely done packaging. So if this is a deck that you resonate with, that sings to you, I do have an affiliate link in the description box below that will lead you to where I purchased this deck. Other than that, let me know in the comment section what you think of this deck. And if there are any other decks that you would like for me to review, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see what I could do about acquiring them. Other than that, have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.